G'day and welcome to another episode of KiwiCarLife, and today we've got a 2002 BMW Z3 2.2 litre. On the exterior front it looks really nice. It has that classic sort of roadster proportion with a great big long bonnet and a two-seat passenger compartment slewn over the rear wheels. It's got some nice aggressive looking lights and of course the classic BMW kidney grille. And I really like this. It seems to be a classic BMW thing with all of their Z cars putting the BMW logo on the side. In my Z4 review I mentioned that it kind of looks like those old planes they used to have back in the war where they'd put the BMW logo on the side. It's very cool. And these little shark fins in here are quite a nice touch as well. It gives it that nice sort of muscular look. Around the back it looks really nice. It's simple and classic and gives it that real nice sort of aggressive stance with these haunches over the rear wheels and the nice simple rear tail lights and the delightful sounding twin exhaust. It's a really nice looking car. On the interior front, everything is very driver focused. It seems to be kind of the typical roadster thing. That Z4 I drove, the S2000, even the 350Z, everything was turned towards the driver. Nothing was available to the passenger, but I mean, what do they need anyway? But I've actually been quite surprised at the quality of everything in the interior. That Z4 that I jumped in, if I'm honest, the interior was pretty average and I was kind of disappointed with all the sort of scratchy grey and black plastics. But this actually has a really nice feel. Everything has a very sort of high quality feel to it. The gauge cluster looks really nice. It's that typical BMW thing where you just have your four simple gauges, your speed and your tack in the middle, just the information you need laid out in a really nice high quality looking fashion. And everything else around the cabin is really well placed. The radio's in a nice spot. Climate control works easily enough. You've got your traction control button down there, and then obviously this one is the automatic, but thankfully it's a facelift. So when they introduced the facelift in 2000 they added the Tiptronic mode, which if you're going to get an automatic you kind of need if you're planning to actually drive it. Overall I'm actually quite surprised with the interior. Nice high quality, everything's arranged really well. I like it. Okay, so first impressions of the BMW Z3. Obviously, previously I've driven the newer version of this, the Z4, so a lot of this review will be sort of comparing the two cars. So the first thing I'm noticing is that interior space is definitely a little smaller in here. The Z3 is inherently a smaller car than the Z4. But it's by no means uncomfortable. These seats are really nice, everything's really well placed. I've found that I've been able to get a decent driving position. My head is just touching the roof a little bit, but it's not annoying, and if I just kind of squat down in the seat a bit, it's perfectly fine. The other thing that I noticed straight away was that the gearbox, at least compared with the Z4, is quite lazy to say the least. The ride comfort compared with the Z4 that I drove, now that one was a little bit unfair because I'm pretty sure that one was on lowering springs, but the ride comfort I think is actually pretty good, although you can probably tell the camera is still moving around a decent amount, so it's certainly not the most comfortable car in the world. But thankfully the seats are comfortable, so they do kind of make up for that. The engine is a 2.2 litre M54. Now stock, these engines make about 125 kilowatt, but this one has had a tune put on it, which means it's pushing more like 140. So this 2.2 litre is producing about the same amount of power as the 2.5 litre engine that you get in the Z4. And I can certainly notice that. This is actually a reasonably quick car. And the engine sounds great, man. It's a little bit more raspy than the 6-cylinder that you get in like the Z4 or in that 325i that I reviewed a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, this car's quick, man. It reminds me in a lot of ways of an E36 M3. It has that kind of sound to it. Handling is really good actually. This is on the stock suspension. It does have some quite good sort of Bridgestone tyres on it. But overall, man, the performance and handling of this car really is rather excellent, even in the rain. And the back end definitely hangs out, that's for sure. You could certainly drive this on the daily if you wanted and just enjoy it as a normal, comfortable car, but then you can come out here, flip and hang the back end out, and it shifts along really good, man. It's quite surprising. Oh man, the way that thing goes, that's pretty good, I've got to say. If I were to summarize this car, It sounds awesome. It handles great. The ride comfort is still fine. I certainly wouldn't call it uncomfortable, and these really nice seats definitely help. If I were to pick between the Z4 and the Z3, if I'm honest, I think I'd probably choose this. I think this sounds better. It's a bit more comfortable, nicer to drive, and it's just kind of cooler because it's a little bit smaller, a little bit more sporty feeling, and yet for just a little 2.2, like, it goes really, really well, man. The performance of this is definitely, it's not bad. Wow, yeah, when it comes on cam, far out, that shifts along really well, man. That is the BMW Z3. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Kiwi Car Life. I would definitely recommend. For the money, it's an awful lot of fun, even with an automatic. So there we go. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Kiwi Car Life, and I look forward to seeing you again next time.